The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler, April 5th, St. Catherine of Palma. Catalina Tomás, who was born in the small village of Valdemusa and died in Palma, spent her whole life on the island of Mallorca. Her parents died when the girl, who was the 7th child, was only 7 years old, without leaving her any inheritance. Very sad things are told of the ill treatment that Catalina suffered in the house of the paternal uncle in whose care she had been left. She was practically a slave, whom the servants themselves could overload with work and mistreat as they pleased. Catalina endured these sufferings with invincible patience and meekness. When she was about 15 years old, the apparitions of St. Anthony and her patron St. Catherine awakened in her a religious vocation. The young girl confided her desires to a holy hermit, Father Antonio Castaneda. To test her vocation, the hermit told her to continue to entrust the matter to God and that he would do the same until she received an answer from heaven. Catherine obeyed, but she had to wait a long time. The wait was all the longer because the fear of being deprived of her services caused her uncle to mistreat her even more than before. However, Father Anthony did not forget her, even though it was difficult to find a place in a convent for a young woman without a dowry. To begin with, Father Antonio arranged for Catalina to go to serve a family in Palma, where her spiritual life would meet no opposition. The daughter of the house taught her to read and write, but in matters of spiritual life she became Catalina's disciple, for Catalina had already advanced a long way on the road to perfection. Several convents opened their doors to Catalina almost at the same time, and the young woman decided to enter the convent of Santa Maria Magdalena de Palma of the Canonization de San Agustin. She was then 20 years old. From the first moment, she won the respect of all for her holiness, her humility, and her desire to be useful to others. For some time, Catalina did not distinguish herself in any way from her fervent connovisses, but soon she was the object of a series of extraordinary phenomena, which are recounted in detail in her life. Every year, from a couple of weeks before the feast of St. Catherine of Alexandria, she would enter into a deep trance. Immediately after receiving communion, a kind of ecstasy would come over him, which lasted a good part of the day, if not several days or even 2 weeks. Sometimes it was like a cataleptic state in which all signs of life disappeared. At other times, the saint advanced with her feet together and her eyes closed, conversing with the celestial spirits and totally abstracted from the outside world. Only in some cases could she answer the questions put to her. She also possessed the gift of prophecy. The saint was also subjected to tremendous trials and assaults from the enemy. Not only did she have to suffer the evil thoughts suggested to her by the devil, but also alarming hallucinations and even material attacks by the spirit of evil. On such occasions, her sisters heard horrible screams and noises and observed the effects of the attacks on the saint, but they did not see the enemy and had to be content with trying to alleviate Catherine's sufferings. The saint always tried to avoid that this prevented her from the punctual fulfillment of her duties. Her death, which she herself had predicted, occurred when she was only 41 years old. She was beatified in 1792 and canonized in 1930.